This is 9-year NFL vet Erik Coleman. Make sure you tune in to the Burn Down podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on the Burn Down. Today we have a very special guest. You may have seen him on TV.
Especially on Sundays in my favorite color, green and white.
Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Jet NFL veteran, Erik Coleman. What's going on, Erik?
What's up, fellas? How you guys doing, man? It's an honor to be on the show. I'm a big fan. I've been a fan for a long time, man. So I'm excited we got to sit down and chop it up.
Absolutely. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit with the Burn Down.
It's pretty surreal. You know, I've been a Jet fan my whole life. I bleed green, and now I got a very own Jet veteran on my very own podcast. So it's pretty cool, I got to admit.
Oh man, it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. You know, we're struggling right now. The season is a horrific one right now. But you know what? Better things are ahead, and we'll get it figured out somehow, some way.
I know it's
building, rebuilding.
That's all we could say. I mean, you could say anything you want, but you know, a lot of these teams go through these slumps. But you know, one way or another, it's only up from here. I like to say
it's only up.
Yep.
It's only up. It's kind of crazy though, because you know, growing up, you know, Erik's been a fan of you. I've been a fan as well of just football in general. I'm actually a Giants fan, but that's okay.
It's all good.
I'm a New York fan. When it comes down to it, I'm a New York fan. But to have you say that you're a fan of us is humbling, and we really appreciate that. I mean, it's crazy. We're fans of you, and you're a fan of us, and it's a pretty surreal moment right now. So thank you.
Real, recognize real.
We appreciate that.
Are you a fellow New Yorker? Are you from New York?
I'm not. I'm from the West Coast. So I'm from Sacramento originally, and I grew up in Spokane, Washington. And when I got drafted to the Jets, that was actually my first time on the East Coast. I had never been east of Texas before, and I fell in love with the Long Island chick. And
nice.
Yeah, 12. I mean, we've been married for 12 years, 3 kids later. You know,
God bless.
God bless you.
Thank you.
So what did you think of New York and Long Island when you first got off that plane?
Oh, man, that was crazy because, you know, when I got drafted by the Jets, I was like, man, I'm going to play in New York. Where am I going to live? It's just buildings everywhere. You know, how do they practice on football? You know, because I had only seen Manhattan, you know, and then I flew in. I want to say I flew into JFK. Someone had a Jets truck that picked me up and then drove me out to Long Island. And I'm looking around like, man, there are trees everywhere. Like, where are we? You know, and they're like, we're outside of the suburb of New York. You know, it was crazy, but it was super busy. And my first night here, like I couldn't stand New York for my first year. My first night, I was at one of the hotels, and I wanted to order some dinner. So I called up. I'm like, yeah, you know, where I'm from, we're all you know, polite and peaceful and all this stuff. And I said, yeah, may I have a meatball sub sandwich? And they're like, yeah, hero or whatever, you know, whatever he called it. I said, yeah, with some whatever. I ordered my sides, and he's like, all right, cool. And he just hung up, and I'm like, this guy just hung up on me. Like, what did I do to him that he would hang up on me? I called back and I'm like, did you get my order? And he's like, yeah, over to the hotel. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know. You just hung up on me. And he's like, all right, click.
Did it again.
I said, okay, this is how they get down in New York. You know what I mean? I better get used to it. You know, I'm used to saying hi to everybody on the street. And, you know, when you're walking around Manhattan, everybody looks at you like you're crazy if you say hello. So it was a little change for me. Everything is sped up. I love it now. You know, I love the people. They're real. You know, you talk to somebody from New York, you know right away if they like you or not.
Oh,
yeah. You don't have to wonder and worry like, man, does this person like me? Like, nah.
He's going to tell you. He's going to tell you straight up.
Most New Yorkers are pretty direct. I mean, I lived in Atlanta for a little bit. And like you said, going to a completely different area of the country, which I've never been down in the South before. Yeah. You know, I'm used to being super fast, super direct, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. And people are like, let's hang out. Let's, you know, what do you want to do today? Let's slow down.
It's a slower.
Yeah. I'm like, we got to go. We got to do things. Come on.
You can first pick it up when you get off the plane. If you rent a car and you drive, you could first pick it up no matter where you go. The pace of life, because everybody's just, come on in. Yeah. Like, I'll let you in, no problem. Just everybody drives not up in New York. It's like, no. They would rather, you know, they'd rather kill their own kid than let you get in front of them on the highway. Okay,
I tell a story a few times. So when I went down to Atlanta, it was for AT&T's business training, right? And we were cold calling, and I called this guy, and he gave me an attitude. And being a fellow New Yorker, sometimes I was just fed up. It was like 3 o'clock, 3:30. I got hung up like 100 times already, so my attitude was a little bit down. So the guy gave me an attitude, and I was like, hey, AT&T, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, I don't need any technology. And I just replied, well, how do you run a business then? And then he was like, I don't, and hung up. And just for me replying, like, I guess not polite like that, people around me just stopped what they were doing. And they're like, yo, you just yelled at that guy.
You can't just do that.
And I was like, I didn't yell at him. I'm like, he gave me an attitude. I just responded a little bit more aggressive. And they're like,
yeah,
oh,
man,
his
energy.
Yeah, I was just like, I would never be able to talk like that to somebody. I'm like, well, I guess, it's in New York. I was the only guy from New York, so it is what it is.
They tell my wife that all the time. When I was playing down in Atlanta, they would tell my wife, like, you're so aggressive and you know what you want and, you're demanding and things like that. And she's like, what are you talking about? If you don't say something to someone, you don't ask for something, you're not going to get it. So, it's kind of like, what are we doing here? Let's get it done. And
no beating around the bush, no sugarcoating. None of that. Right to the point.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Exactly. So before we delve into this interview, we got a lot of questions that we're going to ask you, and it's going to be just kind of conversational. We got to get it.
We got to
get a cigar. Yeah. So,
okay.
What cigar are you smoking? Are you smoking first?
Yeah, I got a fresh box. About to open it up.
Ooh, nice.
He's smoking the
Cubanos.
He's smoking the good stuff.
I'm coming on the burn down. I gotta, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I gotta smoke it right.
So what is that?
I got the
Montecristo,
the Open Eagle.
Woo! Good cigars. I've had a few of those.
Box.
And I still got the plastic on it. That's pretty. I'm gonna say I'm
gonna cut it open.
I love it.
I like
fresh
it.
box with a burn down. That's what it is. So do you like Cuban cigars or more than like non-Cuban cigars? Do you have a preference?
Well, you know what? So funny story. Let me see. I started smoking cigars when I'm down here in Florida right now. Mm-hmm. So we have a house down in Florida, and I used to train down here. And I used to work out with Ray Lewis. Of course, I worked out at his house a few times. And me and a friend of mine met up with him at a cigar place because I had never really smoked cigars. They said, let's go grab a cigar. And, I worked out with Ray. He's like, yeah, let's go get a glass of wine. We'll go have a cigar later. And so I said, a cigar? You smoke cigars? He said, yeah, man, that's how you wind down. That's how you relax, get your mind off everything. So I said, you know what? I'll give it a try. And the first cigar that I smoked was a, what was it called? It was one of the flavored ones.
Acid?
Java?
Acid. It was acid. It was an acid cigar. It was sweet. And I was like, oh, this is cool. You know what I mean? But like the next day, I told my wife, my mouth, it was like I sucked a muffler. Like I just had that taste in my mouth. This is gross. And then when I got back up to New York, I met somebody and they were like, man, let's come go smoke a cigar. He gave me a Cuban. And I was like, man, this thing is so clean. It's nice. It's fresh. And I kind of got spoiled from there. I had he connected me with his guy. So I have a nice connection for the Cubans. And I kind of just fell in love with them from there. So I don't really, not that I think Cubans are better than anything else. It's just that that's what I was introduced to when I first got into it, really.
Absolutely.
And that's just my preference right now.
Hey, that's what it is.
I like it. It's, like you said, and I like how you mentioned that it's not that Cubans are better than non-Cubans or vice versa. It's just that's what you enjoy smoking. That's what you enjoy smoking, right? You're going to smoke what you like, whether it's a $5, Java or acid. If that's what you like, smoke it. If you like the expensive Cubans, go for it.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yep. So what we're smoking actually is this is an excellent, because we're drinking coffee. It's the afternoon over here. We're drinking coffee. And this is one of our favorites to pair with coffee is the Oliva Series O.
Oh, wow.
So we're smoking the Oliva Series O.
Great with coffee. I don't know if you smoke cigars with coffee, but it's probably my favorite cigar pairing, I must say.
Yeah, I'm down with the coffee and cigars. I like to come out, being in Florida, I like to come out on my back patio and with my computer, I'll grab a cup of coffee, get some emails done, get my work done. It's a nice combination.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So let's cut these cigars. We'll light them up and then we'll get right back to it.
Sounds good.
while we're finishing lighting up, I could tell you the quick little story. So it's funny that you opened up a fresh box of those, and this actually happens to be from a fresh shipment of cigars myself. I came back from, I actually went to the post office to ship out cigars because we do a little giveaway. Whenever we go live after we film, we do some giveaways. We give away some cigars or whatever. So I went to the post office to ship cigars, and I came back, and there was a package on my doorstep. Fresh of cigars.
Fresh out the pack, baby.
So open it up and light it up and see how the shipment was, and it's delicious.
What they say, you give and you shall receive.
Amen, brother.
Absolutely.
Amen.
That's what it is.
So
here we go.
Erik Coleman, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. Ooh, what is he drinking?
Well, we didn't even ask. How rude of us. Let's ask.
Let's put this back down. Yeah. Ask the question, Erik.
Mr.
Man,
Coleman.
it's the afternoon. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, so I went and grabbed some
Michters.
Just a little sip. Got my work done today. My kids are coming home from school in a couple hours, so
you
might as well have a little bourbon.
Get it down, baby.
Love it. Well, we're big fans of bourbon and cigars. We've had bourbon plenty of times on the burn down. But today, a little bit of coffee.
So,
Nothing wrong with that.
Erik Coleman, thank you so much for joining the burn down. It's an honor and a privilege. And let's get this going. Go Jets.
Go Jets.
Cheers, fellas.
So I don't know if you noticed, but we wore we got a little green here, got a little green here.
Got a green
and
white
here.
action over here.
We had to break out some of the green.
Yeah, I see the socks too. I see the green in the socks.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
I don't know if you can see mine as well. I got a little.
You got to do it on them sometimes. You got to just show it up.
I'm a little underdressed.
Yeah, I mean, I like. You're
out in the patio where it's 100 degrees right now.
Yeah, you're in Florida. You're in button down weather. I mean, you're living right there. So
it's actually not bad here right now. It's about 60 something.
Like 65.
So I'm a little warm, but
I got to come up to Jersey every weekend for on my Jet shows, and at night is when you really feel the difference between Florida and New York because it drops down to 50, 40 degrees. It's real up there right now.
Oh.
Yeah, but see, that's perfect football weather.
Yeah.
It is.
That is perfect football weather because I know I couldn't imagine people doing two-a-days down south where it's 95 degrees and you're wearing pads and
because I played football in high school and 2 and 3 days where you know how it was. It's brutal in the summer. So it brings us to our first question. How did you get into football? What was it like? Did you growing up like it? Your parents?
So I got into football when I was young. I used to live on the east side of Spokane, Washington. That's where I grew up, and we used to go to the East Central Community Center. Actually, no, I started at the Martin Luther King Center. So after school, we used to go to the Martin Luther King Community Center to play while our parents were at work, and then when they got home from work, they would pick us up, and we would play at recess, do all that stuff. And they started a YMCA flag football team. So I joined the football team. Started playing. I figured out I was fast. I also played basketball and baseball growing up as well. So I played every sport. It was something to keep you away from trouble. To keep your energy. Just to keep your focus on something else than getting into the streets. And I loved every sport. And football was actually my least favorite as I grew up. And I got into high school. I was pretty good at football. I loved basketball in high school. That was probably my favorite sport. Played baseball, and then they started throwing the ball too fast in baseball, so I had to slow down from that. I said, no. Once it gets into the 90s, I said, man, if that hits me, we're gonna have a problem. And
especially without any pads.
Took off, as a freshman, I was really small. I was about 130 pounds as a freshman. I played running back and cornerback, and they wouldn't really let me carry the ball. So I played a lot of defense. One game we were blowing the team out. They put me at running back, and I had like 4 touchdowns. And the next year I made varsity, but at the beginning of the year, I never really played. I was playing a little bit of defense. I never played on offense, and I would play in the junior varsity games. And I would dominate those games, and we were really good. And finally, at the end of the year, they gave me an opportunity. And that's when I kind of separated myself and showed the skill set that I had in football. And, after that, the letters started coming from colleges, started getting recruited by schools. And, football kind of chose me as I went through high school.
Wow.
So you said your favorite sport was basketball?
I knew that was coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you come on. How did you? I mean, so I was a basketball player in college as well. So it was like I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Basketball was my sport. I was a lot lighter than I am right now. I was about 170 pounds in high school. I could fly. I could jump really well, play great defense. Gary Payton was my favorite player.
Oh,
The
I
glove.
used to model my game after the glove.
The glove.
But, yeah, I love hoop. I love playing basketball.
Yeah, I was gonna say because you played football, I played basketball, and now we got somebody who played both. Because it's funny because you didn't play basketball, right?
I played basketball when I was younger. Like I played up probably like right before middle school, and then my focus was on football because I like football season. Then the next season was basketball, and I was always so tired after football season, so I was like, I'll just stick with football.
Yeah, that was always tough. Going from like the playoffs in football. And then, you go through – I played both ways. I played cornerback. I played running back. And I would play the whole game, and I thought I was in shape. As soon as football was over, I'd go to basketball practice. Man, I would be so out of shape because it's two different exercises. So the suicides would kill me, all the lines, the defensive drills, and it took a while to get in that basketball shape.
Wow. But I like how you said that it kept you out of trouble. Sports keeps you out of trouble and keeps you off of the streets.
Yeah.
And I love that because there's a lot that you can learn from sports nowadays. Working as a team and putting in the work and reaping the rewards. There's a lot of life lessons that you learn from sports. And I think
absolutely.
that kind of
the accountability part. You know what I mean? The value of hard work. Motivating, communication. How to communicate with others. Football is one of those sports where you play on a team. There may be a kid that comes from a very wealthy background. There may be a kid that comes from nothing. There's people from all different backgrounds that play football, black, white, Hispanic, whatever the case may be. But you learn how to communicate with everybody. So that's something else that comes from sports.
And I thought I watched your interview. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago on Fox News, and you were talking about growing up and being a kid and playing sports. And then you're saying, sports now for kids today, they don't really get the same opportunities as we kind of did because the coaches are like all about winning now. It's not really always about the team, which I thought was a good point because I've been to, I know some people that are referees and they tell me some horror stories about, Little League, and they're like all about like they're yelling at the ref and they're doing this with their kid. And I thought it was a good point because growing up for me, it was always about like just teamwork. If we lose as a team, we'll overcome it. And I see some of these guys that are like, they just care about winning, which is kind of heartbreaking for me.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough watching sports nowadays. And, like you mentioned, when we were growing up, it was more about going out there and competing, having fun, learning the fundamentals of the game, getting better, being a team. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's all about, I want my son to make it to the professional ranks. I want to be the best. There's a lot of money involved in it now. So now, when you're playing football, when you're not playing football, now there's a bunch of camps that are, charging all kinds of money to train your kid. And, everybody wants their kid. They don't want their kid to be behind. So you have to pay. You got to pay to put your kids in these camps. So it's become, a big time moneymaker, sports. And it's become a way to pay for college. So there's a lot of pressure from that end. And, every parent wants to live their dreams through their kid. And I always, tell people to beware of that. Make sure that your son or your daughter is enjoying it. Don't continue to put this pressure because at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. And your chances of making it to the pro ranks are very minimal. They're slim to none. You have to have a lot of things fall in place for you to make it professionally and even get a college scholarship. So, people have to slow down a little bit, let their kids have fun playing the sport, learn the values of it. I think we'd be better off if parents kind of coaches eased up a little bit on these kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I could tell you firsthand, 1 year I played football, we lost every single game. And I had the same coach the next year, and we won the championship. And we were called from like 0 to heroes or something like that. But the coach, he was about us, about having fun and just about building the core values and morals. And we took those same motivating, topics that he taught us when we lost every single game, when we turned it around. And, I feel like watching Little League, not everywhere, obviously, but you don't get that same type of camaraderie at every single sport.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's something that to this day, you remember that. You remember that, coming from being a terrible team to working hard, having the nice values, putting it together, and then all of a sudden you're a winner. Those values stay with you. Those lessons, those life lessons, those things that you learn playing sports, they stay with you throughout your life. some of my best days playing sports were in high school, were in middle school. Those are my best memories. Even though I played in the NFL for 9 years, played college and all these great games. Man, I had so much fun in high school playing. You know what I mean? And for the parents to put their agenda ahead of the kids, it's a little bit unfair because, you're making memories. You're instilling habits into your kids and ways of thinking and the self-confidence. So I think it's important to, ease up on them a little bit. Let them enjoy the sport.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
And I like, how you were saying that you went from a team that lost every single game to next year you were winning. You're starting to win games. I don't know if you said you won every single game, but
we won almost every single game.
But it strikes up a good point because I see a lot of times nowadays with sports is that it's more of like participation stuff, right? They give out participation awards to every kid, no matter you win or lose. Yeah. And I think that it's kind of taking away from the values that you learned during that season of
hardships,
going winless where you lost every single game, right? Yeah. That was a struggle, and you were, quote unquote, losers that year, right? And it hurt.
Yeah.
But you put in the work, you build that camaraderie with your team, you come back the next year and you overcome, and now you're dubbed as winners, and you've appreciated that victory more than if it would have been like, hey, listen, it's all right, you went winless, but we're going to give you a trophy anyway.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
we use
it's
that as
okay
motivation.
to not win a trophy because then when you finally do win it, you appreciate it much more because of the work that you had to put in to accomplish that.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, that's life, and that's life. You don't get a paycheck just for showing up for work. You know what I mean? You gotta produce, you gotta perform, and you gotta be a winner. To make that money, to reach those riches, to reach whatever financial goals that you have. So, it's smart to teach those kids those lessons when they're young.
For sure.
I mean, you're not gonna just get paid just for showing up. You
Right.
You don't get a trophy. That's not how it works. So I agree with you guys in that sense.
So speaking on that, being a kid for you, when you were in college. When did you know you're like, I'm going to make it to the league? Like, this is a dream come true. Like, this is actually going to happen. Like, when did that first aha moment come to you? Or maybe it wasn't even in college.
That's a great question because, going into college, not saying it was the last thing on my mind, but I didn't think that I was going to play in the NFL. You know what I mean? I was just coming to be a part of the team, to work hard. I wanted to play. And, as I started to progress through college, I got into my sophomore year. We went to our first bowl game. We won 10 games. Had a very good team. And one of my mentors on the team and one of my roommates was a guy named Lamont Thompson. And Lamont Thompson to this day is the Pac-12 all-time leader in interceptions, phenomenal player. After that sophomore year, he got drafted by the Tennessee Titans, I believe it was, or the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay. And he was drafted in the second round. And I said, his nickname is Hawk. So I was like, man, if Hawk got drafted in the second round, I'm not as good as Hawk, but I can make a team. You know what I mean? And I remember he came after the draft. He came back to Pullman, and he had this Escalade, and he had these nice rims on it. And me and my roommate, Hamza Abdullah, we looked at each other like, man, we could get this. You know what I mean? If we make it to the league, we can have one of these cars. I'm driving like an 88 Acura Legend or something, with beat in the back. But Lamont had like this beautiful car. He had all these things. And I said, we looked at each other and said, man, we need to start dedicating ourselves to this. We need to start working hard. And so we would stay after practice. We would run stairs. We would do whatever we could to become better players. And the next year we went to the Rose Bowl. Phenomenal team. We were, ranked, I want to say at one point we were ranked third in the country. Went to the Rose Bowl. That draft, one of our really good friends, Marcus Trufant, he was drafted, I think, 11th overall to the Seahawks. And we were like, we threw a big party. We were celebrating. And we looked at each other like, man, if True can make it, if he can be the 11th pick, again, he's a lot better than us. But if we work hard, we can make this, And so I dedicated myself in the offseason, sacrifice. I wasn't hanging out as much, kind of just focused on my grind. And after my senior year, I got invited to the Combine. I went out to Alameda, California, to a group called PEPA, Performance Enhancement for Professional Athletes. And at the time, that's where a lot of the top prospects were going to train for the Combine. And, everybody there had all these Escalades and, brand new cars, throwback jerseys and gold chains. And I didn't have an agent to pay for my workouts. So I called the guy up because no agents were recruiting me because I had like a mid to late round grade, right? Sure. So no agents were calling me. So I called up the trainer there and I said, yo, Thomas, this is Erik Coleman. You know what I mean? I have a late round grade on me, but I'm a hard worker. I don't have any money to pay you for training, but if I get down there, will you train me? And if I make it to the league, I'll promise you I'll pay you back. And he said, absolutely. I believe in you. You know, you're a guy who I think is a hard worker and you'll make it. And so I got down there. My uncle lived down there in California. He had this 82 Volkswagen Jetta. And so I pull up to work out to the Jetta. Everybody else has these new cars. And I have my little duffel bag and I just put in work, 2-a-days, eating right, going to my hotel room, going to sleep early, focused on it, and then got an opportunity to get drafted. But man, it was just because of hard work. It was dedication. It was, teammates pushing one another. But ultimately it was my teammates getting drafted, having success in the league is what really put it in my head that I want to focus on this. And this is something that I think I can attain.
Wow. Yeah. It brings up a good point is they always talk about who you surround yourself with. Like, show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are. Right. And it's like, if you surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th. You surround yourself with 5 losers, you're going to be the 6th. Right. So it kind of reminds me of that, where it's, you were hanging like with your peers and you saw your peers take a next step to the next level. And you're like, man, if the guys that I'm with, if my little circle, if those guys can do it, then there's no excuse as to why I can't do it. So you got like, I don't want to be left behind. I got to go up with them as well.
Exactly.
And I think you were drafted the 5th round to the Jets, right?
Yeah. I was drafted in the 5th round.
John Vilma, Jericho Cotchery.
Doesn't matter what round it is, man.
That was a good class.
I'm a firm believer. I believe in that.
Man.
It doesn't matter what round it is, as long as you get your ticket punched,
you got it,
and you go into a team, you made it.
Yeah,
right.
Because you got to get your foot in the door.
Look at Tom Brady, man. What was it? 199th draft pick.
Yeah.
And he's
6th round,
the greatest quarterback to touch a football, in my opinion. Right. So getting, no matter what round you get picked, does not matter. Does not matter.
So now you're drafted. You're with the Jets. Now you're with Herm Edwards.
Yeah.
You play to win the game.
Hello. You play to win the game.
Yep. That's it. That's it. But I mean, now I'm sure the mindset, your mindset completely shifts from, all right, I made it to the league. Now I was in college. Now it's like, now I'm with the big dogs. Like, how did you adapt? Like, what were you thinking? Like, how did you change? Like, I don't know if you changed the way you worked, the way you looked at things.
What was like the first thought that you had going in?
Well, okay. So like, I remember my first time, they had all of us rookies come for a workout. We came to minicamp early just to learn the basics of the defense and the offense. So we weren't slowing down the veterans once minicamp started. And we were there. And I remember coming into the locker room after a rookie practice, and all the vets were in there. And I remember walking into the locker room and I see like Victor Hobson, Eric Barton, Sean Ellis. It was Wayne Corbett. All these guys were in there like they had just got done working out. Man, and they were swole. They had chest hair. They had beards. And I didn't even have a damn mustache. And I'm looking like, damn, when do I get those? Like, when do I get mustaches like that? You know what I mean? I was like, I got a lot of work. I got a lot of catching up to do. And, and we used to go through all these practices. And I remember one day, John Lott, our strength coach at the time, he pulled all of us rookies to the side. And he said, there's only one person in this group that's guaranteed a spot on this team this year. And that's Vilma. He was round 1. He's guaranteed a spot for this year. He said, all the rest of you, there's a slim chance you're going to make it. There was about 25 of us at the time. And he's like, I don't care what round you were drafted in. If it wasn't round 1, you're not guaranteed a job. So, and what that told me, first of all, it put the fear of God in me, and then second of all, I was like, you know what? I need to get on my playbook, because if I'm going to go in here and play defense with all these guys, Victor Hobson, there were some ballers on our team. We had, obviously Sean Ellis, John Abraham, some really good players. I said, if I'm going to go in here and tell these guys what to do, because as a safety, that's my job, to communicate, to get the linebackers lined up, tell the corners what coverage we're playing, all the checks. I said, I better get in my book. So I didn't hang out. I didn't go into the city. Guys were going into the city partying. I was like, no, I got to study this book, and I got to know this like the back of my hand. And I learned the book. And one day, when we got to training camp, it was the second day of training camp, matter of fact. Second day of training camp, John McGraw was the starting safety at the time. He and Reggie Tongue. John McGraw pulled a calf muscle, second day of camp. They're like, Coleman, get in. And at that time, I was like 4th deep on the depth chart. So I was chilling. And they said, Coleman, you're in with the ones. And I said, this Coleman? He said, hell yeah, get your ass in and get in practice. And so I got in there, and I remember, like, you know, they called the defense, and the offense breaks the huddle. And this is like Chad Pennington, Curtis Martin, Santana Moss on one side. You know, you had, man, it was so many ballers, Anthony Beck, all these guys break the huddle, they spread out, they shift, they motion, and I'm like, all right. And I'm just sitting there stuck, and my coach stopped the practice. He said, hey, you better say something, because these guys are waiting on you to give them a call, and you better make a call and say it with confidence. And he said, even if it's wrong, if we're all wrong, we're going to be all right. You know, we can get through the down. As long as we're playing the same coverage. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, I got to get on my stuff. So eventually I just started talking. I came out of my shell. And next thing you know, this shit, you can't shut me up on the field. I'm telling everybody, watch out for this guy motion. You know what I mean? And I'm arguing with guys who are like veterans in the league. I'm telling them what to do. You know what I mean? I'm going to grab a middle linebacker and tell him he's in the wrong spot. He's in the wrong gap. You know what I mean? Because my job depends on it now. And so it was those experiences, man, me taking it serious, me taking it upon myself to put football first. I think that's what led to my early success in the league.
That's beautiful, man. I mean, so I completely understand and I completely appreciate that. And it reminds me of, we had Ruben Stutter on here a couple weeks ago, and we asked him the same thing, like, what was his mindset? And he said, when I got to American Idol or his training, he's like, I went in the corner. I didn't mingle with nobody. I just said, I'm the best and I'm going to win this. So it's just like a simple, like, people think success is very hard from what I understand. You know, it's just about working hard, you know, talking to yourself and saying, I can do it, and just doing the right things and not getting distracted. Because, you know, you're a clear example of just doing the right thing, doing all the right things, and just
avoiding the wrong things
and working hard.
Yeah, it's like you said, everybody wants this secret formula to success, and it's actually very simple. Just hard work and stay away from the distractions.
And Erik said it himself. He said, you don't get paid for just showing. I mean, some people get paid for just showing up, but most people, you got to, 90% of your job is just showing up. The other 10% is where you really make your money and really break your bones and do the right thing. So
put in the work.
Got to do it.
You put in the work, you shall have the rewards. Right
now, did you have like so now you're playing. Now you're a starter, because I think you started almost every single game for the Jets, if I'm correct, like 45 out of 48. I did my homework. It was talking about doing work.
It was like 90% of the games over the 2 seasons. Yeah.
So when I played football, I didn't really have like a tradition or like a superstition. I know some other guys did before they played the game, but like, did you have like some kind of like lucky jock strap, or you did a prayer or something every single game?
Yeah, I did. I had my routines, you know what I mean? They kind of changed, but ultimately, I'd always pray, you know what I mean? And before the game, while we're warming up, guys are listening to like heavy rap music, heavy metal, all this stuff. I listen to like really slow music, because if I got too fired up, I would get emotional. You know what I mean? I get emotional. I get, start tearing up and like ready to rip a hole through somebody.
Yeah.
And I can't do that as a safety, because I got to be the communicator. I got to be calm. So I would listen to like D'Angelo. I listen to some slow music, and I'd warm up and just visualize myself. And by the time I got, obviously, listen to the national anthem, all the fireworks, all the people in the crowd, that's going to get you fired up plenty. And the fact that I'm in the NFL, is a huge blessing. So I'm fired up. I got to try to stay as calm as I could before the game. Make sure I prayed, make sure that I was, focused on my communications, and just go out there and let it rip, man. That was my thing. That's awesome. I went through a phase where I wasn't wearing gloves because I didn't want to drop any balls. I didn't want to miss any tackles because of some gloves. So I didn't wear gloves for like my first probably 5 years in the league. And then, you start playing in Green Bay, and it's like January and it's minus 11. You got to like start adapting a little bit. But, pretty much just trying to stay calm, praying, making sure, at that point in time, before the game, the hay is in the barn, as they say, meaning I did all my studying. I did all my film study. I know all my checks. I know the tendencies. Now it's just time to let it go, man. So playing that game was the ultimate. It was like they always said. Someone said this to me at practice. They say you get paid to practice on Wednesday through Saturday. Playing the game is free, and that was my free time. That was my time to go out there, let it loose, act a fool, and I really did enjoy it.
I mean, it's 100% true. I completely agree with that.
I like that, and yeah, because it's kind of like I like how you said where from Wednesday to Saturday, right? that's what you're practicing. You're learning the different coverage. You're learning whatever team you got coming up. You're learning their plays, what they like to run, how many do they run the ball often, do they throw the ball, do they go for the deep pass, all that stuff. You're learning that, and come Sunday, it's like, all right,
now you're putting it all to work.
You're sitting down and you're saying to yourself, well, listen, if I don't know the coverages and everything that I'm supposed to know for the team that we're playing, if I don't know it right now, I'm not going to know it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't learn it right now. So this isn't the time to start to study the book and all that stuff. That's Wednesday to Saturday. This is the time to get your mind right, to get calm, to get relaxed, so that now you can go and perform and execute on all the stuff that you learned. Because I used to tell that to people all the time, in whenever they would take a test, like in school, in college, you're taking a test, and you see people cramming, like morning of, and I'm like, listen, if you don't know it by now, you're not going to learn it right now in 20 minutes before the test. Okay? You're not going to learn it. Calm down, relax. It'll come to you when the test comes.
It's crazy how most people don't prepare. They don't like to prepare. They don't like to put the work in early, so that way when it comes to crunch time, they can kind of relax. Like, why do you want to be worked up on the time of the day when you need to do it?
Right?
Yeah, they say success is when preparation meets opportunity. So you got to always be prepared.
I think that might be the quote of the week.
I think that might be the quote of the week.
That's perfect.
So go ahead. No, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
No. My pleasure.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
So we've been doing this new segment called the quote of the week. It was the quote of the day, but we realized that we only release an episode once a week, so it has to be quote of the week. So this episode of this week's quote of the week comes from Erik Coleman himself. Eric, if you could say that again for our quote of the week.
Yeah.
Success is when preparation meets opportunity.
Bang. You guys heard it here. Success is when preparation meets opportunity.
That's all it is.
I love it. And it's like what you said, when so many people they don't prepare and then they wonder why they don't succeed. And it's like, if you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, Eric, you said, you got to where you are and you're like, all right, I need to learn the playbook. I need to learn this. I need to learn that. I can't be going out and partying. And I'm the same type of way. When anytime I'm in a situation where I have an opportunity to do something, if I'm traveling somewhere and I need to perform, I'm not going to be like, all right, I'm here now, so let's just go out and, lollygag. It's like, well, I gotta be ready to do what I gotta do. And a lot of people don't have that same thought process, which is very
believe it or not, that was a big deal in the NFL. You get a group of young kids who come from a certain, background or whatever. You throw them in New York City, you throw them in Atlanta, you give them $1 million, and the girls, the partying, the attention kind of gets the best of them.
Yeah.
And you got to focus on the task at hand. You got to focus on why you're here. That partying, those girls, whatever the vice that you have or whatever the temptation that's out there, it's going to be there after you're done. You know what I mean? While you're here, let's lock in on this goal. Let's work hard and give it your all so you can make the most of it. I remember when I got to Atlanta, that was one of my, my biggest problems that I had with the team. Well, with my DB room. I remember getting into the room and there's a couple of vets, a couple of free agents that had signed that came from other teams. And we get into the meeting room and the guys are talking about partying and, we used to go out with this person. We used to go to this club. Or last night we were here. And I had to sit down with the guys. I said, listen, you're here to play football. And if you don't think that, and if you don't have football on your mind first, if you're partying, you think these coaches aren't listening to what you're saying about partying and it's going to show in your play. I said, the draft is coming up in a couple months. Please believe you will get replaced. This league is a what have you done for me lately league. Yeah. And if you don't perform on this Sunday, you'll be out without a job on Wednesday. There's plenty of times where I've played a game on Sunday. You have Monday, you work out, Tuesday's a day off, come in on Wednesday for install, and there's a new person sitting next to you. You got to perform and you got to keep football first. And, kind of teaching the young guys that is something that's important, something that a veteran has to do, somebody who's been through it. It is very important, to focus on the task at hand and everything else will take care of itself.
Most definitely.
Yeah, because it's like they say, no matter what position you're in, nobody's irreplaceable. Like, if you don't come in and do what you have to do, there's 1,000 other guys that are just waiting for an opportunity to show the coaches and show the world what they're made of. Mm-hmm. So if you don't do what you got to do, like you said, you could be, 1 week you could be in the starting position, the next week you could be out and easily replaced because somebody else, they're going to give him a shot.
Right. And an example of that is, I was drafted in the 5th round, right? I started my rookie year. My second year, they drafted a guy like in the second or third round to replace me. I beat him out, and then I played with them. The next year, they drafted somebody else. It was every single year I played in the NFL, they drafted a safety to replace me. But my work ethic, my knowledge of the game, my hard work, that's what really kept me in the league. Wanting to do these things. There was plenty of guys that were better athletes, probably better football players than me, but I studied hard. I knew what I was looking at. And chances are, if I read my keys, if I knew what I was doing, I'm going to get there faster than you. I'm going to make that play. I'm going to make that tackle. I'm going to knock down that pass. And that's what kept me on the field, is I knew what I was going to do. I wasn't going to make mistakes. I was going to go out there and get everybody lined up and just really do my job. And that's what I took pride in for 9 years. And that's why, as a guy who's 5'10", 200 pounds coming from Washington State, that's why I lasted so long in the NFL.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that because the coaches and the coaching staff and the organization knew how hard of a worker you were, do you think that they did it on purpose to give you competition, to take you to continue to excel every single time? Because if, I think about it like this, where let's say they didn't draft a safety to try to replace you, would you have worked that hard to try to outbeat that other person? And then every year there's another guy you got to outbeat, so you're continuing to try to step your game higher and higher and higher?
You know what? I know for me personally, I don't think that really mattered, because I was going to give it my all anyway. But there's a lot of people who need that motivation. They need to be pushed. And that's the coach's job, to push you to be the best player that you can be. And that's a motivating factor for a lot of people. Maybe they thought that my run would at some time during my career, it would all catch up to me. Not being the biggest guy, not being the fastest, whatever the case may be. Maybe they thought my run would end, and they needed a more athletic guy to replace me. But it is what it is. That's the game. That's how it's a business. And so you learn to go through those ebbs and flows. You learn how to fight through adversity. You learn all these things, and it did make me a better person at the end of the day.
Were like throughout your career with the Jets, the Falcons, the Detroit Lions, were there certain senior or veteran players that you looked up to, or that you kind of asked a lot of questions to get better, and they gave you some good information?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When I walked into the locker room, I looked for the oldest guy, for the longest tenured player. I went to Ray Mickens, I went to Curtis Martin, I went to Wayne Corbett. I asked these guys, how did you last so long in the league? Like, what does it take? And they told me, you got to take care of your body, you got to do your work. Your body is your organization. You know what I mean? Your body is your company, and you're the CEO of it. You got to make sure you put the right fuel in your body. You got to make sure you get rest. You got to make sure you get massages, acupuncture, go to the chiropractor. Do whatever you have to do to keep your body in tip-top shape, keep your mind in tip-top shape, because that's your vehicle for success. So, that's something that a lot of the guys told me, how to take care of myself off the field, how to handle my business on the field, and just really being a good person is what's going to help you last in anything in life. And I learned those lessons from Curtis, from Ray Mickens, from Wayne Corbett, from Eric Barton, all these guys who played such a big role in my success. I definitely sought out those veteran leaders.
So let me ask this. So growing up, as a kid and then through high school and stuff, who was your favorite football player?
Oh, man, that's easy. I grew up, so I'm from Sacramento originally, and then I moved up to Washington State. And I was a Niners fan. The 49ers were my favorite team. They were from the Bay Area. They were winning Super Bowls at the time, and Jerry Rice was my favorite player.
Jerry Rice.
Man, to me, he's the greatest of all time. Just a great work ethic, a guy who wasn't highly touted, just a hard worker that did his job. He showed up every day and outworked everybody. Jerry Rice, I loved all those guys from that team, from that era. Ronnie Lott, obviously knocking dudes out from the safety position. Roger Craig at the running back. The Niners were my team. But as I got older and as I got into the game when I was in college and coming up in the NFL, man, Brian Dawkins, Weapon X. Oh, man.
Oh, I used to watch his videos to get pumped up. His YouTube videos.
By far, that's my favorite player to watch.
Animal.
Man. He was an animal on the field, a complete dog on the field. And when I met him in life as a union rep, we're both union reps for our teams, and I met him at our union meetings. Man, the coolest, calmest guy you have ever met in your life. You get on that field, it's a whole nother level right there.
Wow.
But Brian Dawkins is the guy. When I got older, a ton of respect for him and his game.
That's funny. That reminds us of so we actually went to an event where we met John Starks, New York City, and whenever you think about John Starks on the court, he was like fired up, just trash talker, just in your face animal. But then when we met him at the cigar event, cool as a cucumber, just calm, relaxed, and you're like, man, it's like two different.
I feel like that's a lot of I see that with a lot of athletes. You know, they have one personality on the field and then another personality off the field. Is that true or?
Oh yeah, you have to. You know what I mean? You have to. I can't go act a fool in the street like I did in the football field, and that was what was so appealing about the game. You get to go out in front of 70, 80,000 people and act a fool. You know what I mean? You get to let your hair down. You get to be you, show your personality, celebrate with your teammates, yell, scream. You know what I mean? And it was just a ton of fun. And that's why it's hard, from going to playing football, playing basketball in the NBA, whatever, being an entertainer, being the best in the world at what you do and getting all this attention. It's tough to give that up. So guys have a hard time transitioning. You come out to regular life and now nobody cares what you do. You know what I mean? You're not getting that attention. So it's really tough for a lot of people, but there's no better feeling in the world than going out there, making a big play and just kind of 80,000 people are just following what you do. You know what I mean? They're cheering off the way you did. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful feeling, and I really did enjoy every single moment of playing in the NFL.
That's awesome.
So, what we're going to do right now is the Zoom, we only have about 45 minutes total before it cuts out, so it's probably going to cut out in a second.
No, we're good.
No, it's unlimited?
We're only one guy. When we do Zooms with other people, that's where it gets a little crazy.
Well, so we got this.
What time do the kids home? That's what we should ask.
Probably not till 3:30.
Oh, okay.
Because we got apparently my landscapers decided to show up in the backyard. We're in my pool house was our converted studio, and now apparently we got the guys with the leaf blower here. So we'll give them a minute.
Tune in to the burn down.
Yeah, we're trying to see if they want a cigar.
They're trying to blow out our cigar. They're trying to blow out our cigar. I mean, I don't want them.
So let me ask you this: can you hear all that in the background?
No.
No. Okay.
So let's talk about cigars since we got a little bit of time left.
Yes. That was gonna be my segue. I was gonna say, hey, listen, we're gonna pause it and then come back. But okay, so let's get into some cigar.
Favorite word, segue. Here, this is our segue.
Yeah. Right? So you said your first cigar that you really enjoyed was Cubans. That's how you got into Cubans, and then from that point on, it was just Cubans for the most part. So what would be some of your... Now, I'm not going to ask unless you know your all-time favorite cigar. I've always asked that, and it's a very hard question to answer because there's so many good cigars, and it all depends on the mood and what you're in, what you're in the mood for. But what would be some of your favorite cigars, some of your top cigars on your list?
Some of my favorite cigars... let's see. I actually like the My Father.
Nice.
My Father makes a great cigar. My favorite, this daily smoke. Actually, it's going to take you a while to get through it because it's a long one. It's the Hoyo de Monterrey Double Corona.
Ooh. Oh, dang! That's a big amazing stick right there.
Yeah, it's long, man. It has a lot of flavor. I love those. Let me see. I mean, this Montecristo Open Eagle is nice.
Is this your first time having that one?
No, you know what? I had it a few times. I had it at the golf course. It was my first time grabbing a box, but I'm really enjoying it. You know what I mean? I like the Cohiba Siglo 6.
Oh, that's a great. That's a classic. Yeah. That's a classic.
Yeah, that's a classic. It does depend on the mood. It depends on who you're around, what company you keep. But if I had to choose a daily smoker, I'm gonna go with the Hoyo Double Corona.
Nice.
So I gotta say I know the stick, and I've never tried it.
I've only had a few Hoyo de Monterreys.
Yeah, the Epicure number 2 we've had. It's a great one. The Epicure Special we've had on the burn down. Which is a great one.
So I'm moving back to Long Island. I'm moving to Old Brookville. So when I get back to Long Island, in the new year, we'll have to get together and
hey, man, those are my old stomping grounds. I went to LIU Post.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that's a beautiful area. So.
Yeah, very nice area. We've driven through that a few times. It's very
So once you come back to Long Island, we'll definitely have to get up together and have a cigar. I don't know if you know any cigar spots in that area that you'd like to go to. If not, we'll find one. But and
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to try that stick out. We'll bring over some. Are you a big Opus X guy?
Oh man, those are nice.
We'll have to bring over. We got quite the collection of Opus.
Done deal.
Okay.
Done deal.
All right, we'll do that. Let's go to Ohika Castle.
Yeah, I love that place. I actually went there for
Where is that?
Ohika Castle is in what is that? Oyster Bay? Is that Oyster Bay? Cold Spring Harbor?
Yeah, like right Cold Spring Harbor, Huntington.
Yeah, because we're in Huntington. Well, I'm like Melville, South Huntington area. But we've been to Ohika Castle for dinner one time. They have this little restaurant that's
nice.
Oh, it's delicious, absolutely delicious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised in Long Island, but I actually just moved almost a year ago. Now I'm in Lower Westchester, so I mean, I'm not far, but it's a little bit different than Long Island, which I like. But right outside the city, about 45 minutes away from here, so it's good. So now you got some new cigar buddies. We got a new cigar buddy. And speaking of that, do you have your core guys you smoke cigars with, or any memorable athletes or anyone that was special to you smoking a cigar with?
Yeah, man, I do have my core group. You know, when I'm up in New York, you know, my buddy Johnny, he's one of my best friends in the world. He's a state trooper. You know, one of my closest guys. I met him my rookie year when I was in New York. You know, I got pulled over by him, and then we ended up becoming real cool friends.
Wow,
you know,
that's a good story.
Yeah, my buddy Richie. My buddy Richie is he's the guy who put me onto the Cuban cigars. You know, we usually get together on Fridays. You know, Fridays for lunch, grab lunch together, grab a stick, you know, have a beer or something, and just kind of mellow out, you know,
that's
on a
awesome.
nice day. So that's who I usually smoke with. But you know, being down here in Florida, you know, I came down here during the pandemic. We have a house down here, and I thought I was going to be here for 2 weeks, and it's ended up being like 7 months.
Yeah.
And you know, I find a lot of times I smoke alone. You know what I mean? And I'm one of those guys. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I enjoy the quiet time with some music. You know, that's how I do it down here.
I completely agree. I mean, it's we always say it's the cheapest form of therapy, man.
Yes, it is.
Pay $20 opposed to $150 for a therapy session, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, we've done that before too. It's we talk about what a cigar actually is and what it really means to us, and like you said, you're comfortable just sitting by yourself, turning on some tunes, and kind of like what Ray Lewis told you when you first got into cigars is this is how you relax and this is how you kind of disconnect from everything and bring your body back to neutral. And the best way to do that is by yourself, sitting. You know, last night lit up a fire, didn't even have music, just fire crackling, crickets chirping, nice glass of Angel's Envy, and a stick, and that's how you just kind of unwind and relax.
That's how you do it, baby. That's how you do it.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
you know, especially living in New York, there's so much running around, so much chaos. It's nice to just calm down and just be in the moment. You know what I mean? That's
I
all
really
about
feel
cigars.
bad for the people who don't smoke cigars, who have stressful lives, because I really can't think of any, maybe working out, but you know, when you have a stressful day, when you're going through a lot at one point, you know, sometimes you just need to kick back and relax, and there's nothing better than a cigar and just a nice little drink, whatever you're drinking, some music, and just kicking back and relaxing. Now, do you have like a preferable music genre when you listen, or is you kind of just put it on random and let it go?
You know what? I'm a big okay, so I like 80s, 90s R&B. You know what I mean? And my rap, you know, I love rap music. You know, I'm a West Coast guy. So like I'm saying like mid 90s up to 2000s. Those are my favorite eras, but you know, there's some rappers I listen to now, but I like the 90s. I like the 90s music. It just brings me back. You know, a lot of times, you know, music is something that it takes you back to memories. Like when you play a song, you're like, man, I remember where I was when I heard this one. And so, you know, I had a lot of tough times. I had a tough childhood growing up, and music was kind of my getaway, music and sports. So I would turn on some music, relax. You know what I mean? I like listening to those jams and kind of think about where I've come from, where I'm going, my future goals. You know, that's my thing when I smoke.
That's beautiful. And there's and again, you have a cigar and you kind of just look back and you be like, man, I made it. I did this. And you kind of reflect on yourself and kind of just appreciate the time that you have now.
Yep.
And I like how you said too, is where you can look back, but you can also look forward too. So you can use that moment with yourself to reflect on what you've done and how far you've come, but also to visualize what you're going to achieve and where you're going in the future.
Now, who's some of your, you know, because I always say, I grew up listening to rap and hip hop and R&B, And my parents brainwashed me when I was a child with the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. And now the last 5 years, I listen to that more than rap. But 90s and 2000s rap and hip hop is my era. Like you said, I listen to that mostly. Like here and there, I listen to some Drake or something like that. But who are some of your favorite artists in rap?
Well, like growing up, obviously I'm a big Pac fan, big Tupac fan, E40. Probably some rappers you don't know, Sibo. I was a big fan of them coming from Sacramento, but I'm also into Jay-Z, anything Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. But recently I'm trying to think what I've been listening to.
Surprised you didn't say Too Short. I mean, Too Short's a big
one. Too Short. Yeah. Too Short is a legend. Too Short is a Bay Area legend, man. But nowadays, let me see. I just got the Dom Kennedy. I like Dom. Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace. I still listen to a lot of Nipsey. I got into Nipsey probably 2010.
He was a guy I listened to early on.
East Coast, I like Benny the Butcher. He got a new album out. That one goes pretty hard. But I like Nas. I like all the classics. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy.
Yep. I'm glad you said Nas because Nas is my favorite. I mean, if it's Nas, J. Cole. I don't know if you like J. Cole. Notorious
I love
B.I.G.
J. Cole.
Obviously.
I saw J. Cole. I don't mean to cut you off, but I was playing in Atlanta back when like Friday Night Lights was out. That was one of my favorite mixtapes.
Oh yeah.
And I used to love J. Cole before. He was one of the biggest rappers in the game. I was a huge fan of his, and I remember he performed at this venue in Atlanta. And I took one of my teammates. We went to it. I think the ticket was like $25 or something. Yeah. And there were like 1,000 people in this venue, this small venue. Crazy. And J. Cole rocked it, man. I remember singing every word, every song, and it was really cool. And it's awesome to see how his career has taken off, and how he's grown as an artist, how he's grown as a man. It was a pretty dope. It was a great time.
You're killing me, man, because
You love J. Cole.
You're killing me because it is the same thing. I followed him since the warm up. My buddy handed me his mixtape, and I'm like, "Who is this guy?" He's like, "Dude, listen to him. He's really good. He's like a Nas. He's very lyrical. He paints pictures, yada yada yada." I'm like, "All right." And the same thing. We saw him in Brooklyn, and it was like $50 maybe, and it was first come first serve for his concert. We showed up. We got right in the front row. He was giving dap to everybody, and then. This was when he had the Friday Night Lights, and miraculously in the small venue in Brooklyn, he brought out Drake. Out of everybody to come out, he brought out Drake, and everyone was going nuts. But my brothers and I, we say the same thing. It is so cool. Like I said, I feel like J. Cole's like my son because I watched him grow up from nobody with mixtapes to now he's like one of the biggest hip hop artists ever in history, and it's just
cool. And he's a basketball player too, right?
At St. John's. And it is very, very cool just to see the progression and all the accolades and achievements that he made because he's a pretty humble guy. Like you don't see him doing too much on TV or anything like that. So when he was on the NBA Finals, I was like, oh, J. Cole's really, really getting into it now. He's doing music for the finals.
All-star game and everything. Yep.
So I'm glad you said that because my brothers are going to go nuts now and be like, hey, Erik Coleman is just as big a J. Cole fan as us because it's wild. So you're talking my language. But Justin wanted to ask you, a couple more questions. I think he wanted to ask something.
Yeah. So as you can see, we've done our research on you a little bit here, and we came to find out that you're a bit of a philanthropist with a number of organizations and charities that you're a part of. I mean, just to name a few here, My Brother's Keeper Mentorship Program. You also support causes for pediatric cancer, traumatic brain injury, sickle cell anemia, and also a celebrity ambassador for the Thrive Network, which is an organization that helps those with disabilities in need. So we got a little bit of a list here for your philanthropy. So I wanted to ask you about some of those organizations that you're working with. How did those get started? How much have you guys been able to raise? If you have a number on that. I mean, because we're always supportive and always big into giving back, right? You have to give to receive, and it's always good to give back to the community. So we found those out.
Absolutely, man. You know what? I got big into charity, back in college. When you sit back and think about how blessed you are to have your health, to have these opportunities that you're given, and why not give back to some kids? Why not give back to people who are less fortunate than you? And coming up through the NFL, there's always opportunities to establish to help out charities. Tuesday's your day off. I was always a big believer in, it's my day off from football, but it's time to work. And when it comes to charitable opportunities, the My Brother's Keeper program, that was one that someone had reached out to me and asked me if I can mentor some young kids. And it was cool because, I come from a rough background, right? Drugs in the house, there's, some troubled things that went on in my life that, I couldn't have been here. There's an opportunity where I could have been in jail right now, just like, some of my other friends were. And for me to be able to come out of that, to be able to come out of a home where drug addiction was prevalent, to be able to make it through college and to the NFL, I feel blessed. I feel blessed to be in that position. And so why not go out and pay it forward and help mentor some kids who are going through what I had went through, and that's something that I took a lot of pride in. I take a lot of pride in, is helping others. Another organization that I recently just joined the board of was Children's Brain Tumor Foundation. A lot of kids go through these tough situations where they have a brain tumor. They don't know how to adapt back into life. And it's great to be able to mentor these kids, these adults, whoever it may be, get through the struggles in their life and give them the opportunity to live a normal life. And so, I always found that me being an NFL player, it's great to be involved in charity. You know what I mean? You have a platform where people will listen to you. I talked to a lot of kids about drug addiction. I work with the New York State on the drug addiction thing. We film some PSAs. They play before all the movies in Long Island, and it's cool. I'll get calls. People will be like, "Man, I'm at the movies, and I just saw you on TV," and it's cool to talk to these kids, tell them that drugs aren't cool. It's not something that you want to play with. It'll ruin your life, and and help others find treatment solutions. You know what I mean? So it's cool to be in the position. I feel very blessed, to be in the position where people will listen to me, where people will, want to hear what I have to say about things. And I want to help out as many organizations as I possibly can because, I was blessed. I'm definitely blessed with the gift. God blessed me. And I want to make sure that I pass it along to others.
It's beautiful, man.
That's beautiful. I mean, amen to that because, like you said, with the, children are I've read something where children are God's way of saying that we should continue to go on, right? When God blesses somebody with a child, it's his way of saying that life should go on and the human race should go on. And it's a very unfortunate that some kids they're just kids, 5 years old. They haven't done anything wrong in their life so far. And it's unfortunate that they've come down with a disease, with a brain tumor, with a number of other diseases. And it's like, they didn't do anything wrong yet. They're so young. Like we got to do something to help them so that they can live a normal life. It's very unfortunate to see that. So we praise you for all of your charitable causes that you're a part of, and that's awesome.
Thank you, and shout out to everybody who volunteers their time, dedicate themselves to helping others. Big shout out to my buddy DeVar Darling. He has the As One Foundation. They help people with sickle cell, sickle cell anemia. I have several nieces and nephews with sickle cell. You know what I mean? It's a tough disease. I've seen my nephew, my nieces go through a lot of pain, a lot of suffering because of this disease, and it's great that there's people out there putting in that work, putting in that extra time to help others live a good life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always say if you have a platform, or if you're big enough and you're fortunate enough to give back, that's what I really think you should do. That's why guys like LeBron James, I mean, he has a laundry list of all the charities and organizations and stuff like he gives back, because I just think that's something you should do when you're at a high stature. You don't even have to be a high stature if you just want to be a good person, but always giving back no matter what. Even if you're making PB&Js for the homeless, or if you're donating $1, it's something that you're giving back, and it's something that's just a humane thing to do. You want to help. You want to be able to do right by other people who don't always have the same fortunes as you do. So it's
exactly. It's not always about donating money. You can dedicate your time. You know what I mean? You may not have a lot of money to dedicate. Go out there and volunteer some time. You got some time on a Saturday to help somebody.
I took the words right out of my mouth.
Religion class, I would go to the church and make PB&Js for people, and I didn't have any money. I was a kid, but I just felt good just giving back to somebody that maybe couldn't afford a meal or just anything.
Because they always say that like you said, everybody says, "Oh, well, I don't have the money to donate." The most precious thing that you have is not money; it's time. The most precious commodity that everybody has is time. So when you give because money, you can give money away and you can always get it back. You can always make more and get money back.
Yeah.
But if you give away 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, you can't get back 2 hours. You can't get that time back. So that's the most precious commodity that we have as human beings is the time.
100%.
Absolutely.
So we got about like 10 minutes left. I don't know if you had something else to ask him. I got one more question.
You got one more question before? Because I was going to go into the
cigar. Well, I'll ask him one more sports personal question, and you ask him another cigar question. But Mr. Erik Coleman, actually, which one do I want to ask? What would be more valuable? I just hit dash.
Be careful the rookie move, man.
Yeah, I don't want to. No.
I don't know if you guys know that I just dropped the ash on my crotch earlier. I was sitting here.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Oh man,
Erik Coleman with the rookie move.
Hey man, we didn't see it. We see you from the chest up. So,
but honorable gentleman right there. He said he admitted to it.
No, I got to admit,
he didn't hide it. He admitted.
Yeah.
So your 1, 2, or 3 best moments in the NFL, whether it was a play, whether it was a learning moment, whether it was a mistake and you learned from it. What were some your favorite moments in the NFL?
Man, that's a great question. Because there's so many good memories, and there's lessons that I learned, at practice. There's lessons I learned off the field, and there's lessons I learned during games. So if I had to say, okay, my first lesson, one of my biggest lessons was my first game ever in the NFL. I've told this story before, but first game I'm starting, we're playing the Cincinnati Bengals at the Meadowlands. And you know what I mean? It's a crazy atmosphere. Jet Stadium. We have a very good team. Herm Edwards is a coach. We come out to play, doing the national anthem. We have the flyby with the Jets. I'm emotional. You know what I mean? I got tears coming down my eyes. I'm sitting there thinking about, where I've come from, where I'm standing right now and how blessed I am. And I was tearing up on the sideline. And we go out and play. And I'm nervous because I'm playing against these guys who I've been watching for years. Chad Johnson, Carson Palmer, TJ Hushmanzada, I want to say Peter Warwick. All these guys who are just phenomenal players. I'm going out there to play against them. And I go out there and going through the game, I'm holding my own. I made a couple tackles here. I'm running around, and now I'm like, all right, I'm cool. I can play with these guys. And, we're playing well on offense. We're playing well on defense. It's about 4 minutes left in the game. We're up 2 touchdowns, and we're about at the 50-yard line. And I'm covering Chad Johnson in the slot, playing cover 4.
Oh man,
he runs a vertical route on me, and I'm covering him. I'm backpedaling. I turn and break. I'm running with him. I peek back. The ball's in the air. I said, "Oh, this is mine." I'm running. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, I'm gonna go get this interception, party, whatever. So I'm running. The ball comes down. I'm right in position. All of a sudden, right in front of me, Chad Johnson dives in front of me, catches the ball, touchdown. And I'm like, wait, that's not how this is going to happen. And I felt terrible, man. I felt like I let my teammates down. I felt like I let the whole stadium down. And I just felt like going into a shell. And I remember they kicked the extra point, and I was like, I had my head down going to the sidelines. And right when I got to the sideline, Sean Ellis grabbed me. I don't know if you guys know how big Sean Ellis is, but he's about 6'5", 6'6", about 300 pounds. He grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, Rook." He said, "Pick your head up, man. We need you for the rest of this game. That's not going to be the last time you get beat for a touchdown. They get paid too. Pick your head up. Let's get this going. We're going to be back on the field in a little bit." So I'm like, okay, feel a little better. My coach is like, it's all good. My coach is coaching me up. Players are, telling me it's going to be all right. So we go out there. We're on defense again. Now there's 2 minutes left, and we're up by 7. And so it's 3rd down. They need a first down. Who are they going to go to? Are they going to go to Ray Mickens, who's on one side? Are they going to go to, Reggie Tongue, who's over here? No, I'm going to go to this rookie who we just beat for a touchdown and see what kind of chops he has. And so Chad Johnson, again, he runs a vertical route. He breaks it off to the corner. I did my little break. I break on it. I'm running. I'm hip to hip with him. I'm looking back. The ball's in the air. I said, "Oh, I can get this one." I jumped in front of him, intercepted it, got up, and my return was trash. I got tackled after like 2 yards, but I got up and celebrated, and we won the game, and that sealed the game for us. And to tell you how good that felt to make a play, to help my team after getting beat for a touchdown, it was the best feeling in the world. You know what I mean? And I came over to the sidelines. Everybody was jumping on me. And at that point, I was like, man, I can really make an impact and play in this league. But it really, that game showed me the highs and lows and the ebbs and flows of playing in the NFL and of life, really. Just make sure you stay the course. Don't get too down on yourself when things don't go your way, because you're going to get another shot. And in that game, that was probably the best feeling in the world. My first game, sealed the game with the interception. Amazing feeling.
Cloud nine.
And then another lesson I learned that same year, we played Pittsburgh. So we played Pittsburgh at Heinz Field twice that year, once in the regular season and once in the playoffs. And I'm back up. We're playing it in Pittsburgh. It was the third quarter, because right at that time they had Roethlisberger was quarterback, Deuce Staley, I believe, was a running back, and Jerome Bettis. They used to play Deuce Staley the whole first half, so they give you all Deuce. Second half, they bring out a fresh Jerome Bettis, and he's just like light feet. The guy's like 5'8", 260, and he has all the moves.
Yeah, light feet at 260.
Oh, man, you couldn't believe it. So I remember I was playing cover 2. I was about 30 yards deep, and I saw that it was a run. I start running up to come to the line of scrimmage. Somebody has Jerome in the backfield wrapped up. He spins out of the tackle. As he's doing the spin, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to light him up. So I took my shot. Boom! I went to go hit Jerome Bettis. Man. I open my eyes. I'm on my back, and I look over in the corner. Jerome is running up the sidelines for another 40 yards.
Oh.
And then he gets tackled, and I'm like, what happened? And then all of a sudden, I look on the big Jumbotron. The Jumbotron is lighting up. They have 2 ketchup bottles above the Jumbotron. So it's like these ketchup bottles light up. This big horn goes off. The bottles tilt up, and ketchup pours onto the screen. Oh. And as it's pouring onto the screen, Jerome Bettis just ran through me. Boom! Oh. You ever seen, like, when you finish a track, that tape, the track line to finish, the track tape? He ran through me just like that tape. Like I wasn't even there.
They call him the bus for a reason.
Oh, man, he ran right through me like track tape. And then, so we played him again in the playoffs, and it was the same scenario. I had him in the open field, and that time I hit him so hard in his knees, he dropped like a tree. And he got up and he was mad at me. I said, listen, I'm young, but I ain't going to make the same mistake twice. You're not going to run me over twice. And so that was another lesson I learned. But
awesome.
Great times in the NFL, man. I had so much fun playing. I was blessed to make it as long as I did. Blessed to make it to the league, man. And I really enjoyed all those moments.
That's awesome. Those are 2 good moments.
Those are great
awesome
stories.
And I can relate to that because in high school I played wideout and I played strong safety. And we were scrimmaging Riverhead. And they had this big running back. He was short, but he was bulky and big. And I had the same moment. It was me and him one-on-one, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go for his legs. I'm gonna go for his legs." And I go, and boom, same situation. I get bulldozed, but I managed to hold on. But my bell was ringing, and he gained like 4 more yards. He got tripped up, but still, he ran right through me, and I was like, "Oh my god." What was I thinking trying to do that?
It does, man. It's like a wake up call because it's when you're at a level and you make it to the league and you're like, all right, I can hang with these guys, and then you do what you have been doing for X amount of years.
Yeah.
But you have to realize that now you're in a position where it's like everybody is either as good or better than you. So when you try to do the same move and you get rocked, you're like, oh shit, okay, I can't do that. I gotta change this up a little bit. I gotta get a little bit better. I gotta go lower. Wow. But I mean, those are 2 stories against 2 guys that are legendary. So, it's not like you got Mossed or something by some guy, some no name, or you got some linebacker, some running back that was not. Those are 2 big names. So to get to get. What do you call it? I guess iced by those 2 guys, and then to come back and now you iced them. That's pretty cool. Those are great stories.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, no shame in that. I have no shame telling those stories.
No, I mean, we appreciate you sharing.
I love it. So we're coming to the end here of this episode, and what we're doing now is we're doing something called One Smoke, One Rating. So during the episode, Eric and I have been smoking a cigar. We've come to the point where just off the hip, rate it from 1 to 10. You can use, 2.2, 6.7, whatever you want to do. Rate it 1 to 10 of the cigar that you're smoking, just right off the hip. Whatever first number that comes to your mind. So you're smoking the Montecristo Open Eagle, is it?
Yeah, Open Eagle.
All right, off the hip.
I gotta give this an 8.
8.
It's been
solid.
smooth. It's not overpowering. You know what I mean? I can't give you all the notes that I taste in it, but it's amazing. It's smooth. It's nice. I really enjoyed this one.
That's all we need. Like we don't. Yeah. Like we said, we don't care about the notes, this, that. We just want to know if you liked it and the rating of it, and that's all it is. Because everyone can tell you the notes and everything like that. So solid 8 for the Montecristo.
Highly recommended. Highly recommended.
Beautiful. Boom.
All right, Eric, what do you got? Now we're smoking the Oliva Series O.
Yeah.
I believe it's a Robusto. So Eric, what do you got?
It's one of the better cigars with coffee, so I'm going to be in the same ballpark as Mr. Erik Coleman. I'm going to be like an 8.2.
8.2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the
So
cigar
Eric's got an 8. Eric's got an 8.2 for his.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I enjoy it too. I really like the cigar with coffee. It's a smooth smoke the whole way. It's got great flavors. I'm going 8-0.
8-0. 8's all around, baby.
8's all around, baby.
Perfect.
I love it.
So
so I got a question for y'all.
Oh.
What would y'all rate the interview? The guest?
That's got to be a 10.
I mean,
I got to, and I'm not just saying it just because he's sitting right here. I got to say it. Let's put it this way. It's been one of the longest interviews that we've had.
this is the longest interview because this is honestly one. It is not the one of this. It's the best because we were clicking on a lot of cylinders. We had a lot of similarities with different moments and music and cigars and stuff like that. So I mean, I'll give it a 10 out of 10 too. I mean, I've been having the J. Cole thing kind of just put over the edge. I was same kind of background, same kind of similarity with the J. Cole thing. So that did it for me. But being the longest, being our first, sports athlete on the podcast, which we truly appreciate. So 10 out of 10. So what would you rate being on the burn down?
Oh man, it's easy 10. This is one of the. I had the most fun on this podcast. What podcast do you get to smoke a cigar, talk about life, talk about music, drinks, cigars? I mean,
good times, baby.
It was all in one, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Of course, and that's all it is. That's all we want to do. That's our goal with this podcast. And if we were sitting down together, it's the same type of conversation we'd be having over a cigar, and that's just the experience we want to bring. So, truly appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us. It's been a hell of a ride, and it's been really fun. So, thank you. And this is the moment now where if you have any kind of charity going on, if you got any promo that you want to do, social media handles where people can find you, just let it be known. The red carpet's yours.
All right. Well, follow me on my social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, at Erik Coleman. That's Eric with a K. Come check me out. Shout out to the Children's Brain Tumor Foundation. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. As One Foundation, go check them out. Anything involving sickle cell, just go out there and give back. Go out there and give back and help those who are less fortunate than you. We're going through some tough times right now, and it's important that we all stay together. You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to divide us right now. Got to stay together as a people.
Absolutely.
And let's do it the right way.
Amen,
God bless
brother.
America.
Amen. God bless America is right, man.
God bless America, most definitely.
So, with that being said, everybody, thank you very much for watching this episode. Thank you very much, Erik Coleman, for joining us on the Burn Down. If you like this video, hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to follow us and be notified for any new videos. Go follow Erik Coleman on Twitter and on Instagram at Erik Coleman with a K. Follow us, Burn Down Podcast, Burn Down Academy.
That's it.
You can follow Eric at Brother Cigar and myself at the Dapper Cigar. And with that, we're going to send it off with a cheers. God bless America, in the words of Erik Coleman.
Cheers, Eric. Appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
Cheers.
Salud.
This is 9-year NFL vet Erik Coleman. Make sure you tune in to the Burn Down Podcast.